Good day, Chief here for Chief Tells Tales. Today I'm going to talk about my trip to Finland. I'm assigned, but attached. And I'm still part of the 66th MI Brigade, but I'm assigned to a battalion that's going to deactivate in a few short months, like at the beginning of the fiscal year. So the colonel is busy getting rid of all of his stuff. I just realized I don't have my bright light, so that's why it's not as lit up as it normally is. I'm not going to restart. So the colonel has got extra money, so to speak. I mean, as he's deactivating all his stuff, giving stuff away to other units, like, do you need these particular items like masks, weapons? I mean, they're going to other units within Germany, as it should. Vehicles, desks, all kinds of supplies. So, having been in the military for 28 years, I come to realize that everything's on a budget. So your unit is giving X amount of dollars, and with that X amount of dollars, you're supposed to buy and maintain your equipment, buy new equipment, and do other functions required. So sometimes you have a little bit extra cash. But at the same time, you don't want to say, hey, you gave us too much money, here's some money back. Because the government looks at that and goes, oh, you didn't spend everything we gave you. So, okay, we'll just lower your budget by that amount you just gave us back, or maybe even a little bit more. So no unit wants to do that. So I'm not saying this is what he did, is, that he begged, borrowed, and stole all this extra money, but he financed a trip to Finland for a staff ride for all the officers in his battalion, and I think the greater share of us went. My partner didn't go because he wanted to stay behind and hold down the fort because he really wasn't interested in going to Finland. And so Colonel also said to me, he says, Chief, you're going to give a brief. On what, sir? He says, on the Battle of Suomussalmi. Now, if anybody knows anything about the Winter War, which is the Finnish-Russia war that took place after Russia helped Nazi Germany invade Poland, Russia decided, well, we're going to grab territory too. We're going to show the world that we can fight. So they picked on Finland in the wintertime, just like they did with Ukraine last year. And just like in Finland, winter came, because they attacked in winter, and did not budge. The Battle of Suomussalmi was a division, a tank division, I think it was, from what I can remember. I'd have to look it up. Single road. We went there physically ourselves, and it's a single road because there's trees, tall pine trees. We went as far as we could with our military, with our Finnish military compadres who went with us to tell us about the defenses are still there. The trench line was still there. There's still some bunkers from World War II. Now, whether they would stand up to modern munitions, probably not, but they're still there. So there is a defense line still in Finland from World War II that didn't get taken by the Russian or the Soviet Union as compensation for the war, because Finland lost a lot of territory. So Suomussalmi was, like I said, this tank division came up this road. Winter just kept them to the road. And in my brief, because I think it was actually 3 Soviet divisions, because it was like about 42,000 soldiers, X amount of tanks, X amount of artillery, and support vehicles and stuff like that. On the Finnish side, 14,000 soldiers. So you got 14,000 soldiers against 3 Soviet divisions of 42,000 with tanks. Finnish side, no tanks. Russian side, or the Soviet side, lots of artillery pieces. Finnish side, 2 batteries of 4 guns each, so 8 artillery pieces, and 1 battery was like dating back to World War I. Yeah, 14 against 42. 4 field guns against multiple field guns. U.S. Army doctrine would tell you to dig in and delay until we can send you more of everything. What did the Finns do? They attacked. So what they would do, they'd get on their skis, outflank this long column on a single road, just like last year, 40-mile long convoy. This was probably just as bad. And they would chop the road in certain places. Now there's a Finnish word called matti, M-O-T-T-E. Matti is a location where they would go lumber wood, stack up that wood, and that was a matti. So it was like an area that you knew you could go to. There would be wood waiting there for you. So they called all these little pockets of Soviet troops matti. So what to reduce these, they would attack at night because the Russians are freezing. Soviets are freezing, Soviets are freezing, so hey, let's build a bonfire. So the Finnish troops would come in, toss a bunch of hand grenades, blah, 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 and, then just fire away and then escape in the night. So even the Soviet troops were hesitant to do fires, and then they were slowly freezing to death. They would do the same thing to their cooking equipment because, they got field stoves, and those are all getting slowly destroyed because lots of troops around them and a lit up area with fires. And then the Finns had saunas. They built saunas. So you go out on a mission, kill a bunch of Soviet troops, you come back, let's go rest in the sauna. What a way to fight a war. So those 14,000 gradually whittled down these 42,000 Soviet soldiers to the point where there was nothing. They captured lots of tanks that they immediately shipped to the south of the war and everything else. So we flew to Helsinki, and then we got on a chartered bus, and we had a good bus driver because we immediately went up to the Suomussalmi area. And the further you got north, the narrower the road, the blacktop got. And then he had to take us on some dirt roads because we were going to a lovely hotel out in the middle of nowhere. Because they were out there by themselves. They were on a lake. They had a sauna by the lake. It was beautiful, beautiful. And they had a large picnic table filled with food. Because we got there towards evening to spend the night. And they were surprised that we didn't eat the table bare bone. They were like, wow, we made all this food and you hardly touched any of it. And we're all like, oh, it was so delicious. We tried this, we tried that. I mean, it was very good. I mean, we had very good hosts. And then they decided that they would have a contest. I can't remember if they drew names out of a hat or something like that, but I got selected. 3 of us got selected, and they're like, oh, you guys got to do dishes. And we're like, okay. And they're like, oh, no. You're not going to do the dishes. They gave me Estonian liquor, a bottle of Estonian liquor that I brought home to San Antone and never got to drink because one of my sons drank it. So then we came back down south. On the way down south, we stopped by a military, I would call it an academy. I think it was called an academy. Wrong pen. It's not in here. They gave us a pin. It's not my pin. But they gave us a fancy pin. They gave us a little pamphlet, and they had, they took us to their war room where they had this big screen, and you would sit in these chairs, and then it was like live action, and you would have all kinds of troops, vehicles go across this field on the screen that you could control. You could make them fall down. You could make the tanks fire. And we're like, wow, we don't have any. I've never seen anything like that in the U.S. military. And they had a museum there. We went through the museum. And it was quite interesting. And then we came back to Helsinki. And then I think it was Helsinki on the coast. Can't remember. But then we went to that fort that is on an island. Let's see if I remember the history of that. I watched several videos. I think the Swedish government built it to fight the Russian Empire. And then when the Swedes left Finland, but the fort always surrendered. And you're like, this is a big medieval, well, not medieval, it's a big beyond medieval fort built and always surrendered. They never really defended themselves for that long. Quite interesting because it was on like 3-4 islands, still maintained, because you had your wives and your family out there if you were married and everything else. So I mean, it was a self-contained place almost, because they had gardens and everything else. So I assume that you could grow crops, and there was probably like a cattle pen back in the old days and stuff like that. And then we also spent the day there, and then we flew back home. It was a quite fun trip. We did stay at another hotel out in the middle of nowhere, or not out in the middle of nowhere. I can't remember what town we went to. But those northern lights, that's no joke. Because we went bar hopping, a bunch of us. We came out of a bar at midnight. You could read a book. You could read a book. And I went back to the hotel to at least get a few hours sleep. And even with these heavy curtains, that light still shines in on the edge. I couldn't fall asleep. I need a dark room. Even that little strip of light coming through at 1 a.m. when I was trying to sleep, I hardly slept at all. Now, up at the hotel, we slept in a log cabin basically, but we had tiny windows, so it didn't have that bright light. And plus, there was a roof over the windows, so was able to sleep there, but I couldn't sleep in this modern hotel with heavy curtains, because we even left the window open in the cabin because they had the heater going, because you're up north, even though it's part of summer, it gets really cold at night. So we had a small heater going and a window open, kind of like New York with their radiators that I heard about recently. You know, it's like radiator, there's no thermostat on it, so if you want a colder room, you got to open up a window. That was that situation. And it was like, since I was the warrant officer, it was like, I'd get in there and all the officers go, "Chief, you get to sleep next to the window." I didn't mind it. I slept comfortable because I could get the heat blast and I could get the cool blast. So I slept comfortable there that night. So that's my trip to Finland. Learned a lot, saw a lot. My only disappointment was, since we flew from one European country to another European country, we didn't have to go through customs. And everybody's like, "Chief, what's your problem?" I said, "I wanted to get a stamp." I said, "I got this, I had to get a passport that trip. Highly recommended you get a passport because we're going to start requiring a passport when you come back home." That was the word we got as soon as I got over there. So that's when I finally got my first passport. And I just wanted a stamp from Finland, but didn't get one. So that's it for the day. So comparing the Winter War to what happened last year, same thing. Same thing. So this is Chief out. Freedom's not free. Thank a vet. Kiss a vet. Hug a vet. You know what to do. Chief out.